The real short squeeze will begin if Bitcoin can just tick off a couple of boxes over here. And I want to start off on the high time frame to show you exactly what it is that I'm looking at. And yeah, if we can just hold up a couple more days, then we'll probably start to clear that $32,000 level. And that's where the real short squeeze begins, because that's where most of these shorts start to capitulate on the idea. They've been adding margin to keep their short positions open. But once you start to cross that level, there's a big inefficiency candle on the left-hand side over here. And that will mean that they'll be forced to close those positions, and then you get a very quick move up. So let's quickly get into the show. I think it will be a fast one because not too much has changed on the low time frames. Let's look at the monthly chart, which we haven't brought up for a while. First thing of interest is the histogram is soon going to cross over the zero line over here and start to flip green, indicative that there could still be more momentum towards the upside with this move. And then you're also going to get the cross between the moving averages on the MACD. On top of that, you are bouncing off of the 7 and the 50. The 7 is the white moving average, the 50 is the pink moving average. You've had a strong reaction off there. Now you need to clear and close above that 20 moving average on the monthly chart, which is the yellow one. Once you get and hold above that level, a couple of things take place. Well, firstly, you allow for the longer term moving averages over here to start to trend up and have a chance to eventually cross the yellow. And then you get that bullish posturing, which looks like this, where you have price situated above the yellow, above the above the white, above the yellow, and above the pink, all angled upwards, indicative that there is strong momentum behind the move. The next very, very important thing which will take place is if price can just close above this monthly candle over here, above the high, which is going to be 29,000. Let's give you the exact amount. $29,850 is the previous month's high. If that takes place, you now also have a bullish engulfing candle. And we know what that means. Bullish engulfing candles typically lead to continuation in the coming months, which means that you can expect further upside. You can see if you use the stochastic RSI, once we did get the first big major uptick candle earlier on this year in January, that allowed for the stochastic RSI to start to trend on up. It also turned, here you go, if you have a look over here, the normal RSI back up, and we have reclaimed the moving average, which is the yellow, and that's starting to trend onwards and upwards, which is where you do start to see those trending moves if you look back in the history of Bitcoin. So those are the couple of things that have taken place. In the short term, we are experiencing a little bit of a pullback. So yesterday it's been all over the place, big pump to the upside, a little bit of a pullback here. Today we do have Fed Jerome Powell, which will also be speaking, so that could move the markets a little bit. And then I think he speaks again on Thursday, so expect that the market will be watching that closely, and there will be some sort of a reaction off of that. In the time being, everything looks more or less to be in the same place despite the small pullback that has taken place. So the level to watch is this candle on the left-hand side. That is your draw on liquidity. Ultimately, that's where the real short squeeze takes place. Once you start to clear that level, you can see the inefficiency. It's basically a strong down move that we had over here, and a lot of this area on the left-hand side will get filled up. My next level of interest after that would be from $32,000 straight to $36,000. So let's see if this week's price action can get above there. Now, also, when you look at the weekly candles, what I mentioned earlier on this week, there has been a bit of indecision over here, but typically you have a big move up, and that's usually met with another big move up, at least another week or two of potential upside, something like that. You can see how quickly, if those candles played out like that, you could be at $36,000, $37,000. So I think that it's better to be playing the bullish side than the bearish side. You have the three higher lows. We've covered this, 1, 2, and 3, and then you have high 1, 2, and now this is marginally higher, but it is yet a high because it did close a couple of dollars higher than the previous local highs that we had set all the way back in April. So looking for continuation of that trend, probably again around that $36,000 level is where I think this next higher high ends. Okay. I managed to zoom in for you guys there. See, yesterday I couldn't show you properly, but there it is. This is the Bitcoin volatility indicator on the bottom, and you can see that any time that we've come into this area over here, so between the bottom line and the top line, and we start to leave that region, that's indicative of that volatility is coming into the market, and that's how you know whether the move has momentum or not, and whether the move is real or not. And ultimately, you've cleared important levels of resistance. You came outside of that as per the volatility indicator indicates over here, you can see it's now ticking back down, retesting that trend line, expecting another bounce off of that zone. That will show you that basically the momentum should continue to the upside, and that will give the MACD on the monthly time frame a chance to cross. And on top of that, you're going to have the bullish engulfing, right, on the monthly. So all in all, that is looking good. Same place over here. Nothing has changed for Bitcoin on the 4-day chart. Moving averages are postured in a bullish fashion, and ultimately we're just looking for that last leg up before later having a deeper pullback. So probably something like this, maybe that 36K level, and then we can have a pullback into these moving averages, giving them more of a chance to spread. So that's Bitcoin on the 4-day chart. On the daily chart, you can see we've been hovering right around the pivot level. Every day that pivot level changes. Today, we have the pivot level at 30,117, right? $30,117. So as long as price holds above that, your RSI continues to trend towards the upside, and you are still forming a bull flag. Remember, you can consolidate for pretty much this entire week, and this bull flag is still valid, possibly even into next week, but I wouldn't expect it to drag on much longer than that. By next week, Monday, I would expect that we either have an expansive move towards the upside or we start to pull back quite aggressively. What about Ethereum? Ethereum is also situated right at the pivot level. Your pivot level on Ethereum is currently situated at $1,857. And you can see you have the cross between the 9 and the 18 EMA, which is the yellow and the pink. And those are back tested as support. And ultimately, price is pushing up. So I do have an ETH trade on at the moment. I'll cover that and show you the levels that I'm looking at, but ultimately not looking for price to get anywhere below this wick. If it does, I'll look to stop out of that position and possibly rebuild a new position at a later stage. Let's have a look at the total market cap over here. Total, let's quickly click on that. There we go. Okay, here is your total market cap. Still same thing, 3 high lows. So you got your low 1, 2, and 3. This one didn't retest the trend line perfectly. You're coming into the top side of the range, and we're looking for potential break of this. This lines up with exactly what you're seeing in Bitcoin. Same thing, also higher high, higher high, expecting one more higher high somewhere within this region. And once you clear that area, that is your draw of liquidity is $1.326 trillion. Then that's where altcoins also might start to catch a small bit. Remember, you have to be selective on which altcoins you play. Overall, you're probably better off just sticking with Bitcoin for the time being on swing trading perspective. Altcoins might rally in the very, very short term. If you see something like that, the market will get very excited, but over the longer term, those gains are going to be given up to Bitcoin. And we covered that in this chart that I did yesterday. If you missed that video, go back and have a look at this video. This is where we outlined when does the real alt season really begin. And ultimately, it only begins usually the best and this is the most conservative guess. Or actually, sorry, the other way, not the most conservative. This is the most aggressive guess. The soonest that this could potentially take place would be around May of 2024. It may even only happen towards the end of 2024. So I just want to quickly clarify what something like that may look like. That means that you're kind of in a range here, right? You can see the range. This is total 2, which is Ethereum and all the other coins. You might see something like that. Yes, it might start slowly grinding up and increasing in value against the dollar. But ultimately against Bitcoin, it would be losing value until such time as you get towards this the yellow vertical line. Once you get around there, which there again, this line is subject to when the next major top would be. We're estimating that it's anywhere between May of 2024 and December of 2024. So somewhere within this region is only when altcoins will really start to get rallying. And I want to remind you, those altcoin rallies are very short-lived. All your gains are made within this period over here, which is about 2 to 3 months. You make everything on your altcoin plays. The rest of the time, you should be considered to rather be in cash or in Bitcoin. Have a look at the previous cycle over here. The entire run, 2020, all the way to the top in 2021. So a very, very big move. And then this one over here, you had 2017. It just started to lift off in May, and it really got vertical in November to January, which was the 3-month period over here, right? 3 months for that. So keep an eye out on that. That's important. But let's look on the shorter time frame. What is going on over here? Well, ultimately, if you look at total 2, it's coming directly into the mid-range. And you can't say that this range is successfully broken until such time as you get above this order block on the left-hand side. So a lot of work to do on total 2. This is resistance. Right now, mid-range is going to be resistance, and you do have lower highs. You also have a lower low if you do compare to the left-hand side on a closing basis. This is now your first lower low in a long time. So that is for total 2. Be cognizant of that and careful of that. What about total 3? Total 3 is now all the altcoins excluding Ethereum. So no Bitcoin, no ETH. And ultimately, this is what you're looking at as well. Still a strong downtrend, right? We are currently caught within a couple of ranges, and I'm focused on this order block over here. I'd really want to see price get and hold above this level before I start to get some sort of, or pay attention, right? I won't get interested yet. I'll just pay attention. But the real interest only comes when you start breaking above the top side of this range. Now I'll really start to focus on maybe things are changing for altcoins. And then remember, that $500 billion mark is where you can say, well, probably a Wyckoff accumulation phase is starting to play out, and you can confirm that Wyckoff accumulation phase suggestive that you're going through the markup zone into the markup phase, and that means that prices will go higher. So yesterday, I did make a tweet over here. There's the tweet. I said I traded my ETH back into BTC. BTC is still looking way stronger. So I got a lot of hate on that, but hear me out. This is the reason why. The reason why is very simple. I said to you guys that, look, this has got an expiration time for me personally as well, where the longer it consolidates below this 0.25 level, underneath the pink box zone over here, the more risk I'm taking on. It stops becoming worth it. This needed to start to rally aggressively and break back into the zone, and ETH BTC is not doing that. I needed to see something like this, and I needed to see it quickly for it to get back to this zone over here. Now, it's not to say that can't happen. That can definitely still happen. But at the moment, when you're playing altcoins or ETH BTC, so trading ETH or any of the altcoins, you're taking on a significant amount of risk, right? Meaning that if Bitcoin goes up at the moment, Bitcoin's technically going up more than what these altcoins are going up. And if Bitcoin goes down, you're going to lose even more on these altcoins, ETH included, right? Unless this was a short-term play that I was looking at, 7% move against Bitcoin. So holding ETH would give you 7% more Bitcoin if you got the quick push up. But the push is taking too long. We're now starting to consolidate underneath here. I did let you guys know yesterday, I said, what does this look like? Well, if you start to hold below here and gain acceptance underneath this level being the pink box at 0.0624 ETH BTC ratio, then you're starting to form a bear flag, and the bear flag ultimately will have a measured move, which is going to take you to my final zone that I'm looking at and your major support at 0.05578. So it's okay to be wrong, guys. It's one of those things that I had an idea, and the idea hasn't failed yet, but it seems to be failing. I'm not willing to hold on to this any longer. I've made the decision, close out, put it back into Bitcoin, and if it breaks back in, then so what? It's fine. I'm looking to hold Bitcoin for a much longer period, right? I'm looking to hold it for a couple of weeks to potentially even a few months. And I coincided that with Bitcoin dominance over here. That's what I saw yesterday. Bitcoin dominance was just looking really strong. It's just not pulling back from this level, which means I expect continuation up to that 54.39%. And it looks like it's just going to consolidate sideways like Bitcoin is, and then you probably have your next leg up. So let's move on. Lower price action over here on the 4-hour time frame. You can see 50 EMA is currently coming up. You might get lucky and get a test into that zone at 29,744. Personally, I think that would be an opportunity to take a little bit of a position. Currently, what do you have over here? You have a wedge which is forming. We've been through this before. Where we saw a bull flag forming, which started to get into a tight wedge. And then at a later stage, it did break down. Remember, these patterns can morph. So don't get too sold on it. It can morph. It can become a flag like that. The point is that you had a big move up and price is still consolidating. So if you see something like this, it's still bullish for me personally, and I'd look for expansion out of that at a later stage. So that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. Now, what about ETH? Okay, ETH came into the zone. So this is where we initially outlined a position, which you could take over here. Again, you back tested into the 50 EMA. You want to see price start to rally from here. I would say if it does lose this wick low on the left-hand side, I'm going to clean this up so it doesn't mess you around. There you go. If you lose that wick low on the left-hand side, I would say I'd probably stop out of an ETH position and then I'd reconsider. I'll give you those reconsidered levels in a moment. But first level of interest could be that 1824, which is going to be your 200 EMA. And then on the hourly chart, I'm going to give you a more precise outline of what I'm currently looking at. So same thing, big move up, consolidating, creating a bull flag, which more than likely leads to higher prices. Okay, here is the hourly time frame. Bitcoin looking a lot stronger. You'll see why now. But ultimately, it's broken this downtrend over here, coming back into tested again. You can probably move this into a break-even trade now, or you can book some profits if you really want to. You already got to TP1, which is halfway through this risk to reward tool. So Bitcoin, I'd continue to hold that position. Here's ETH. This is what's going on with ETH, right? ETH, we raised yesterday the stop just below this wick over here. I would continue to leave it like that. If it loses that level, stop out of the position and reevaluate. We need to see ETH get above this level ASAP, which is the previous month's mid-range. That level over there, we need to see something like this, reclaim it and hold above that level. And ultimately, if you start to clear above $1,935, which is over here, then you can say more than likely you're going to make it all the way up to your previous month's high, which is that target of $2,020. So I did take a position on ETH to compensate for switching out from Bitcoin, because I still have the bias that ETH could obviously have that move to the 2020 level. So this was the trade that I took over here. There you go. So I am currently marginally down. It triggered while I was asleep last night. So this was after the big pump up that we had. I set my order at 1880. Stop loss is again below that wick at 1829. If we do start to get taken out of that position or get stopped out of that position, this is where I'll be re-adding, right? I'll be looking to see what happens at the order block on the left-hand side, coming in at this 1810 level. I want to see if there's a reaction over there. So something like this. Let's just quickly change the color of that so you can see it nicely to white. So I'll be looking to see if there's a reaction off here and a break back into the range. If so, I might take a position there. Otherwise, what you might see is a move all the way down to about the 1786 level, and then same thing, a reclaim will reactivate a trade. So my order blocks, you can mark those levels off if you want, is 1810 is the first level of interest. The next one that I'm looking at over here is 1786. 1786. I will update you if that does happen, right? I see Mark Varga says OKX available in the US. I am not 100% sure. You'd probably have to KYC, but one exchange that you wouldn't have to KYC with is CoinW. If you're in the US, then pretty much US citizens, CoinW will work for you. Also, they have a sign-up bonus. Put $100 in and you get $40. Basically, there you go, $40, and you get 15% trading fees back, which is until the end of June, which is great. Cool. Okay, so that's the trade that I have at the moment. I'm a little bit down. Again, I'll rescale in and take this position again. All my risk has been calculated over here, so I'm not getting wrecked for those of you who might be wondering. Okay, have a look at this. Long to short ratio. Currently, you can see overall, it's about 60% of the market are running shorts against the 40% which are running longs. And that reflects over here in high block capital as well. Take a look at high block capital. You have your cumulative delta, which has now gone negative. Bears are obviously chasing price down. And look at where all the liquidity lies. You got the bright blue bands on the top side over here. There is a lot of liquidity to the upside. That is for Bitcoin. Let's quickly show you what ETH looks like as well. ETH is even more, which means that, again, you get above that $32,000 zone. Probably not even 32. You'll probably start to initiate a short squeeze, even if you get just around that $31,000 zone. 32 is where you get the giga short squeeze, which will come into play. Okay, there you got ETH's negative delta over here. So bears chasing as well towards the downside. I do expect that this will flip back green. And at that point, that's where the squeeze takes place. And then you can get a push up into those levels that we're targeting, right around the $2,000 on ETH. So have a look over here on the liquidity chart. This is what it looks like. Looking at Bitcoin's heat maps, you have some liquidity towards the downside, 24,600. And then you have again at that $32,000 level is the next zone. What about ETH? This is on the 7-day time frame that I'm looking at, by the way. Let that load up quickly. Okay, whilst that loads, I'm also looking at Coinbase. Coinbase doesn't look too bad, guys. Coinbase is forming a range. I don't know how many of you out there are trading stocks. Let me know in the comments if you are. Also, take a second out of your day to smash the like button, help to get the show content out there, and it really does help. I see that there's over 1,300 of you live, but only 250 likes. Smash the like button, helps to get the content out there. So you can see Coinbase is ranging within this level. It is also holding, which is great. It's holding that diagonal trend line over there. If you are somebody that wants exposure to crypto at less risk, because obviously they've been doing everything right and they will play ball with the SEC, then you don't have to risk any coins getting banned. This is something that Rand has suggested quite a while back. I think it's a great play as well if you do have a stock brokerage portfolio and you're looking to trade something like Coinbase. Okay, let's quickly go back over here to see this should have loaded up. So here's ETH's heat map. ETH's heat map is showing main liquidity again around that 2020 target that I have. It's listed at 2070. So I'll be looking for a push up in there, probably a deviation back in. And then you have a little bit of liquidity building up over here at the 1500 level at the moment. Okay, so that's Coinbase. I also wanted to see, here's GBTC. GBTC is also not looking too bad. Look at that. What I found interesting with GBTC, unlike Bitcoin, if you put a trend line over here from the previous lows, all of these levels hit. You got beautiful pivot levels over there, over there, over there, and over there. And then obviously we've now started to initiate the uptrend. So basically GBTC is looking good as well. And overall the market's, I think, not looking too bad at the moment, as long as we can continue to hold this level. Bitcoin stronger, holding above the previous month's high. ETH, you can see again, lagging because we're still below the previous month's mid-range. We haven't even got to the previous month's high yet. So guys, that is basically it, I think. Is there any questions? Let's quickly see. Any questions? I'm going to have a quick... there probably is, but you'll need confirmation. So the bearish divergence is already starting to play out. I don't have my RSI on. Give me a second. Where is it? Oh, okay. Momentum is slowing down on the 4-hour chart. Oh man, look how many things I have on here. Okay, well, let me have a look here quick. Yeah, momentum is slowing down on the 4-hour chart, but this is, to me, more of a consolidation. I don't really see this as a major bearish divergence that's going to play out. Price is just consolidating after a big move. It's pretty much what I would expect, right? So if you do see something like that, a huge move up, then price moving sideways is even more bullish than what you would usually expect, right? Big move up. Usually you would expect a sharp pullback and then a bounce. To me, it's even more bullish if it holds sideways like this, showing that basically there is not really going to be much of a pullback from this region. So everybody is waiting at the moment. I'm sure a lot of you can attest to this because this move caught the majority of people off guard. And this is the third time that this has happened this year. These are all the big moves that you get. And if you look at the prior massive moves that we had, it didn't give you much room, right? You could potentially come down around even as low as about, I would say, that $28,000 level. But I think that would even be that would be quite a huge pullback. If you saw this into this region, that would be your best case scenario, in my opinion, and then you're probably going to continue on upwards. So that's the way that I view it. Let's see, is there anything else? Chaos says, yes, a bull flag. It is, yes, it's a bull flag, exactly. A bull flag is if you see a big move up and price, even if it comes down, that would be referred to as an in spirit of bull flag. If it comes down at an angle, it's still a bull flag, and usually that would break towards the upside. Otherwise, a bull flag, a perfect bull flag would be up and sideways, right? You have your pole and it looks like a flag, right? There's your flag. Looks exactly like a flag. Obviously, it doesn't work like that. Nothing goes up in a 90-degree angle. So the flags are always angled slightly like this, and then you have something like that, and that ultimately leads to the next leg up. Okay, let me see. I'll quickly scan through. All right, guys, I think that brings us to the end. It's a pretty quick show. Not too much has changed. Please do smash the like button. It really helps. And then I also want to give a shout out to the sponsors. I did mention yesterday, let me quickly do that. If you do want to take the OKX trade on a bot, this is what you do. You can see I've already taken a trade here on leverage. So my capital is in this position. This is a $50,000 position. But if you did want to, what you would do is you'd go here, you would click trading bots. Okay, they have click trading bots. Then it will show here futures grid. So this is essentially similar to scaling into a position, right? So if you were to, let's go on Bitcoin, because I know the exact levels that I would have set up the bot on Bitcoin for. So I'm going to go to Bitcoin. You click on Bitcoin over there. Again, make sure on the top right you click trading bot. Then you go here from AI strategy. Those are the automated ones. You can do it. I wouldn't risk too much money in an automated strategy because you really have no control over what takes place. You can set a stop, but it's just, you don't have that much, you don't have that much control. I'd rather go with a manual strategy over here. And this is the way that I would essentially set it up. You're currently sitting at 30,300. So you put in your lower limit. What's the lowest that you think price would go to? So for me personally, I'd want to build a position from about 28,500 up to about, let's say 30,400, which is right where we are now. That means that you already start to get entered into some of that position. So you can see that I wrote that there, right? 28,500 is your low limit. That means that's where the lowest level that grid would start to buy your orders in at. 34,000 is your higher limit. And then you set the number of grids over here, 20 grids. So it's going to split it, right? Equally, 20 grids. It's going to put 20 different orders scattered across that level. Leverage, that depends on how much risk you're willing to take, right? You have to calculate what your stop would be. How do you calculate your stop on something like this? Well, obviously, if you're going to be wrong, let's say you're going to be wrong at about below this expansive candle over here, let's say 27,700, just for argument's sake. Stop condition, let's put TP and stop. You go here to stop loss. So 27,700 is where you're incorrect on this. Take profit, I would go with about $36,000. Okay, so that's now set. There's your stop loss. It's put that in already. And then you're going here for your trigger type, all of that, leave that the same. Your investment amount, you can obviously drag that across. I don't have any capital to invest. I have $30 because I'm already in 50,000 in another position. Okay, but this is if you were to take this position, this is what you'd do. So now you know your entry is between, there you go. Your entry is going to be between 34,000. That is incorrect. Let's just quickly change that. That is meant to be 28,500 was the lower limit, and the upper limit was meant to be 30,400. There we go, not 34,000. So take the midpoint between 30,400 and 28,500 because that's your average entry, right? And then you can work out from there to your stop loss, how many percentage points away are you from there? And that's how you'll know how much risk you're taking on, right? It's going to divide the orders up, scatter. And as price comes in, it might not take all of your positions. That's the beauty of taking a trade like this, is it helps you to scale in. I know that this is normal psychology amongst traders because something I have suffered from a lot, and I still do to this day. When you see price starting to move, you kind of just want to get the whole position in, right? You kind of just want to max enter everything in one go, like bang. This helps you to not do that if you take the grid strategy, and you can do that on long or short, or you can do it on spot. If you don't want to leverage trade it, you can do it on spot. This is obviously on OKX, but it is also on some of the other exchanges. You can check out BitGet, they have it. I think Bybit might have it as well. A couple of the exchanges have it. So check that out, guys. That's it from me. I think that summarizes it. I hope you all have a fantastic day.
Look at the 1 year on the bubbles.
The 1 year?
The 1 year on the Banter bubbles.
Yes.
Taking souls.
Yeah. Casper's in an uptrend against Bitcoin. So that's, but I told you guys I couldn't bring that chart up earlier this week because it isn't on TradingView. Yes, I have Casper USD on TradingView, but we don't have Casper against BTC, but it's in an uptrend. That's why it was one of the coins that I gave a long on, right? Cool. I'll see you guys on the next show tomorrow. Have a great day, and I appreciate all of you. Cheers for now.